Konami is finally getting off their butts and actually doing something. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. No, this is not clickbait. This is actually very, very good for the game, because this is what happens when Konami actually is capable of listening to the player base. So do you remember, it was a couple weeks back, we talked about the shareholder meeting and how there were a couple of points that weren't necessarily, very, very held over by the community. The first one was the game doesn't seem to attract new users. When new users started Master Duel, start playing the OCG, there were issues that caused them not to have the chance to be able to, basically perform in tournaments. And the second point was, based on players' opinions and the opinions found online, it appears that many instances where live stream matches on the official tournament became one-sided, and we believe that losing motivation, new players are having a hard time to start playing the game, and that tied to that issue. If players were able to surrender, which is an action that is not currently allowed in the official rules, we believe that they would be able to make a strategic choice to start over with the next game. We have reached the first actual change here. Now, keep in mind, this was from the shareholder meeting, which means they're going to take this very, very seriously. And this it came down actually out of the WCQ tournament that they had a couple weeks ago. So certain strings are attached to this, so keep that in mind. But the rules for the area championships, a tournament similar to WCQ regional qualifiers in the TCG. So this is going to be regional level events. Have added a new rule that allows players to surrender or concede during a match. Notably, this rule change has been formally introduced in sanctioned tournaments, or has not been introduced in sanctioned tournaments until this point in time. They've had to play this game for 25 years without the ability to concede. And trust me, if you played this game on any high level whatsoever in terms of competitive play, you will understand that there will be games that you will want to pick up your cards and advance to the next game. It's unwinnable, and your opponent continuing to play out these long turns does take a physically draining toll on you. All right, I get it. Especially, if you're in Japan during these live stream games or something like that, and you're just getting mollywopped, your opponent opened the nuts. You want to recollect your thoughts, cover it up and move along to the next point. So, however, in practice, it was not uncommon for players to concede unofficially, but only if their opponent agreed to their surrender. Otherwise, as this is not a valid tournament rule, they would have to continue playing the duel. All right, so yeah, there's that. So if during the course of a duel, if a player determines that a defeat is certain, that player can declare their surrender, duel loss, to their opponent during the duel. Then by quickly notifying a judge, said judge will enforce the duel loss. Only a duel loss can be declared, and it is not possible to declare a loss for the match. Now that's the interesting part here. It is not possible to declare your surrender if the result will determine the outcome of a match. So, Game 3, effectively, during extra turns or during the extra duel. So, what does this mean? For a single elimination tournament, you can surrender with 0 wins, 0 losses. So, Game 1. You could surrender while you're up a game, or you could surrender with 1 win, 1 loss. Basically, the determining game cannot be surrendered at this point, which I get it. It's interesting, but for single elimination, we already discussed all this. And then for Swiss rounds, you can surrender with 0 wins, 0 loss, 1 draw, or 1 win, 0 losses. So in other words, the surrender cannot determine the outcome of the last duel for the match. As a side note, this rule was introduced during the 2023 Japan Representative Tournament, equivalent to the National WCQ held on July 15th, as a unique exception that did not apply to other tournaments. Congratulations. They've taken their first step. Now we revisit back to this point here, where we need the ability for players to be able to scoop up their cards, regain their thoughts, and be able to move on along with things. I think this was a very, very good example here. So, in addition to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game, we've been revising the Forbidden Limited rules, as we've talked about in the past here, and the ability to track new players is taken very seriously. Once again, for the swiftness of this to come, I believe this board meeting was back in was June or May. So over the course of the spin of this, they were able to get the chance to, implement this within, 2 months. And they did specifically mention here, in addition, not only did Yu-Gi-Oh! They want the game to be more enjoyable to watch. It's a very important subject and relevant for years. And we will take this opinion is absolutely correct. And we'll try to convey this to our company for proper considerations for live streams. And they did. They did. They pulled it together. They said, you know what? We need to make sure that we can relay this to the player base. All right, our shareholders. Remember, the shareholders are the investors in the company. They are the people that go, hey, we get a say in the company. This is very important. We're not happy with how things are going right now. And the fact, I got to clap for it. I'm genuinely impressed. Now, the next stage here, the part that I am very, very interested in is how Konami is going to take the approach here to make the game more inviting to players. How we're going to utilize all of the functions that Master Duel has to transition over that tournament experience. Because I guarantee you, if they've already implemented the surrender rule for the higher level tournaments here, they've already got a plan. That means that they're hearing all the feedback and they're getting the chance to do this, which means we might actually see some interesting changes coming to Master Duel. Like, this is the important part here. Master Duel, you could be heading into a 2 out of 3 format here. For all of the optimism, for all of the excitement out here, there's now every TCG player is going to go, can we finally ban Maxi, please? Well, this is the OCG side of things. I'm sorry to tell you that. I know as much as you're kicking, pooping on the floor, crying, you're not going to see Maxi gone. I'm sorry to tell you that. This is a big win for the OCG side of things. Sure, they got the ability to scoop now after 25 years. Can't wait to see how that's going to determine, well, you can't really scoop if Victory Dragon's involved based on the rules, so it's not really that. Victory Dragon will be determining the state of the game there, so based on the way the rule of this is, Victory Dragon's never coming back. So, congratulations, but for the Master Duel side of things, I want to see how maybe the announcement, 9 days from now that we talked about this morning with the something big is coming, I'm really curious to know what they're going to pull off there. It wouldn't be hard for them to kind of get things together and make a Sky Striker anime, or, stories based on the monsters. We don't have to make specific animes to draw people in. No. We can very easily just entertain people with the idea of something else, but Master Duel, I wonder how they are going to pull this off. Especially, how do you make somebody that plays in a tournament format, it's 6 months out, you've got Tier running around the format, you do have Labyrinth, but when you look at the current utilized metagame, is the point to make more cards for those decks to allow those decks to stick around longer? Because that's kind of what it feels like they did with Labyrinth. Like, yes, Labyrinth, make it stick around forever. But then, Tier is so phased out that if you're so used to playing Tier Elements format for, 8 hours a day, well, unfortunately, you can't pick up paper Tier in the TCG. It just isn't how it works. Like, Master Duel is a good example to play the game months ago, but you either have to speed up the releases on Master Duel to make things be in sync, or you have to allow these decks to stick around longer, and I'm not a big fan of that one because I don't want to be dealing with Tier Elements forever either, and I don't want a paper format that's dedicated to Master Duel because that just seems incredibly bad. But what are your opinions? What do you think they're going to do? Because step 1, check. Konami, listen. Step 2, we implemented something. Check. Step 3, step 4. Step 3 will be pretty much how we're going to see this play at the World Championships. And then step 4 will be a lot more long-term here for the application to draw new players into the game, for the excitement of that. And the long term versus short term, it's easy to see the short term for sure, but the long term is definitely the most exciting part of this. So What do you think? I'm surprised Konami actually did something, to be honest with you. We give this company a lot of crap for how lazy they can be some days and just, not listening, but I'll take it. Leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.